fucking
To me, the most iconic photo of this spot is that photo of Gabriel Rodriguez doing what I would guess would be a giant nollie 180 to switch backside nose grind, or maybe just a straight switch backside nose grind on this high curved ledge towards the end of it. And when you get here, you realize just how weird and wonky and high and challenging that spot is. But that's perfectly characteristic of the type of skater that Gabriel Rodriguez was. And it's also weirdly characteristic of what this spot offers that no other ledge spot at the time did, which are these really unusual curving and kinked ledges, a whole complex, which to my mind constitutes one of LA's only real skate plazas. You know, when we think about skateboarding in LA, we're often thinking of asphalt schoolyards, picnic tables, banks, and hips. And very seldom has LA, besides like the West LA Courthouse or Lockwood, had a central meetup place that was an urban plaza. And USC at one time was that central meetup place, the sort of Los Angeles equivalent of Sans or Machba. So one of the coolest things about this spot is that it is like authentically Los Angeles. Some of the earliest footage you see of people skating USC are when Gabriel, Guy, Rudy, and Paulo are skating very similar ledges and gaps over a pillar on campus. And those ledges and those little gaps were designed by the same firm that designed these ledges just a little later. So there's a weird connection, besides the people that skated both of these spots, between the West LA Courthouse and these ledges at USC, which is that the architecture firm that was responsible for this design was the firm Carrera and Wong. And Jin D. Wong, one of the founders of this firm, designed this Googie-style 76 gas station in Beverly Hills that was tremendously influential. Googie is, again, this weirdly George Jetson-like biomorphic, optimistic vision of the space-age future. That 76 station was the inspiration for that also Googie canopy and stage at the West LA Courthouse. If you think about the shape of that stage, how it's this weird kind of oblong, almost swimming pool-shaped kidney-like form, and then you look at these ledges, it's a very similar design. In this case, each of the ledges sort of levitates above the sidewalk, and then they have these slanted sides which lock your wheel in perfectly for nose or tail sides. And then they're in these strange kind of like bony shapes, but also offered as a skate obstacle something new, which is grinding through these curves and kinks. There's that line that Guy Mariano starts off in Mouse where he crooked grinds through this kink before pushing over towards the ledges by the fountain. I think that's the first time anyone grinded through these kinks. And similarly, if you move over here, this is where Van Engelen does that nollie crook back 180 in the DC video. And because of the alternating surface of scored smooth concrete and rough aggregate, you had to pop at the concrete, making it even more challenging to get through the kink at the end. So behind me is the notorious board-swallowing fountain. And when this spot was really going, every single angle of these strange little googie benches was being skated. I mean, it's on that bench that like Richard Angelides does a nollie 180, switchback 5-0, shove it as one fluid motion. Gino does that nollie 270, switch backside tail side. Sad does a switch frontside crook here, and then an insane switch backside 180 nose grind on the high ledge over there. Guy definitely opened this spot up, but so too did Jesus and Alfonso Fernandez and Daniel Lebrón. And as skaters who grew up skating the Plaza Colón in Madrid, that these skaters would come to LA at the end of the 90s and fully localize and fully unlock this spot. Those lines that Danny LeBron did in the LA County video where he does like a fakey crooks through the kink at that curved ledge down the corridor is so fucking sick. And when Kareem Campbell starts his line off in Trilogy, he nose manuals this ledge. And if you look closely, you can see that there's absolutely no skate marks, no wax on this ledge whatsoever. And that's what, like 1995, 1996. That ledge over there is where Tim Bruns possibly did the first kickflip backside nose blunt to come out forward. As LA schoolyards and other spots became more and more of a bust, this became a much more important and central place. It's not far from downtown. It's easy to reach from the west side. It's easy to get to from the east side. This really did become, for a little while, Los Angeles' central hub of skateboarding. As you can see now, USC has effectively rendered most of this once legendary plaza completely unskateable by taking out 2.5 feet of concrete before and after all of these ledges. And that basically means that this is no longer a central hub where you can like skate and do flat ground and hit multiple ledges and string together lines, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't skate it. And by trying to stop skateboarding by taking that concrete out of the front of the ledges, they've actually made a much more epic spot. Now this is a gnarly gap in and pop out type spot that people are finding ways to skate. And these ledges end up having a second life as a much more challenging spot, as a spot that today's generation of skaters have to think creatively to try to get tricks at. I mean, this is a spot that was literally skated by the most OG of the OG LA street skaters of the 80s and 90s, and it is still a spot that is going to be skated by the newest and sickest up-and-coming skaters. Think of what Tiago's done here. Think of what Carlos has done here. Think of Ishad's tricks here. Think of Austin Gillette's backside nose blunt pop out over that gap. People are still finding ways to skate this spot, but in so doing, because of the historical importance of a spot like this and its place in LA skateboarding history, they're only adding to it.